good to go. All right, let's see. Who are we missing? We've got John. Has anybody heard from Jim?
Other than I saw his treasurer's report got sent out earlier today.
Okay. All right, well, I guess we can go on and start talking if we need to wait. So Ham. All right, well, I guess first off, for the October meeting next week, is there any objection to meeting in person? Okay. So if that's the case, then unless you guys think we need to have a vote on it, since there's no objection, then we'll meet in person. But one thing I wanted to ask y'all, and I think Joe kind of mentioned this, and I don't know if you intended to mention it this way, Joe, but I thought it would be worth talking about, since it has been a while and since I know things are changing and it seems like things are getting better overall with COVID. I do think, it'll probably be up to the board, whoever's on the board next year, but to encourage attendance in person, I wanted to get your thoughts on maybe, instead of wording it how we do, where we say, oh, we're going to have a hybrid meeting where we're meeting both in person and on Zoom. Instead, if we're still offering a hybrid option, but instead, if we started wording it saying, hey, we're meeting in person, and then if you can't attend, here's a Zoom link. Because I was thinking about it, and that may help encourage people to start coming in person. And then, if we switch over to solely in person later, it's, I guess, a little less abrupt, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's fine.
Okay.
So it is going to be hybrid then.
Yes.
We're going to encourage everyone to meet in person. But
Yeah.
Kevin and Lynn are
we'll
coming in.
communicate
Sorry
that
about
there
that.
is a Zoom
I didn't see them up.
option.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, and Mike, I'll send it to all the board, but I guess if we just start choosing the wording where we say we're meeting in person, and then not really using these words, but something similar to, by the way, if you can't attend, here's the Zoom link.
I think if you give a Zoom option, a lot of people are going to take that route.
Well, for sure. To an extent, I don't think that it's going to make a big difference, but maybe to stop using the word hybrid, I don't know. I don't know. I guess long-term, I feel like we eventually need to switch back over in person, because there's a lot of groups that I know I've been talking to, and it seems like more and more people are dropping Zoom to go in person, and especially being at Pier, and then getting ready to be at Pier, it's been a reminder of how much, I don't know, it might be able to help us with retention with members. It might be able to help us create new relationships with our new members, because I know Joe does a lot with the tech class and even with some of the other classes, but just really promoting the in-person versus the Zoom, we can create, it's easier for us to create connections with our new folks and build up our membership that way, and also get to know each other more, because there's a lot of folks who in the past, if they've joined in the past 3 years, there's a lot of folks that we just haven't really seen very often at all, and I think because we've made it easy to be at home on Zoom.
Yeah.
On Zoom, which this
What kind of
great,
attendance have
but-
we? What kind of attendance have we been seeing on Zoom versus in person? Because I've been to the last 2 meetings and not a lot of people are attending, and I just wonder how many people are actually attending on Zoom versus in person.
60%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I know last month, I think, and we did, we did promote it, and I feel like we were right in promoting that the heat was out, or I'm sorry, the AC was out. And I mean, it really wasn't bad in the facility. We had enough fans going and everything, but I do think if we would have had it packed with people, it would have been a lot worse. And it's, it was fair to be able to give that warning.
Oh, yes.
But the week or the month before that, we actually had, I can't remember, but it was 25, 30 people in person. I feel like it was a good number. Either it was about half or it was, I don't know.
Mary
I'd have to
Jean,
go back and look.
now
Hey,
that
Lynn.
they've got this last booster shot that is covering the COVID that is what's hitting 98% of the people now, those that are getting that shot are going to be, it's just like getting the flu shot. They're not going to come down with COVID. It's kind of killing it. And I think more and more people are getting that shot. And I do encourage everyone to go ahead and get it because it takes about a month to take effect, but it'll eradicate this series that's been conquering the world for the last several months.
Well, and like you said, between, the vaccines, it seems like they're starting to get out there with them pretty quick. And then I've also seen where they've started advertising more and more different treatments if you get COVID to get in real quick to your doctor if there's any concern. So I don't know, we're in a different spot than we were
Yeah.
several years ago.
There's light at the end of this tunnel.
Absolutely. So
there's no reason why we can't start going back together.
yeah. So, but yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And I know, there's still going to be times where I know it's going to, some folks can attend and Zoom would be better, but just to, in general, start trying to encourage in-person attendance, I think will help us.
Do you want
overall.
to send me a blur?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll send you something
Or
when
do
I
you want me
send
to take a stab at it?
I don't mind sending you something when I send the Zoom link.
Okay. Okay. That sounds good. Can you also send me the calendar, events calendar, so I can update the one online when you send that as well, please?
Yeah. I don't think there's a whole lot coming up.
Was
At
it the
this-
second bike ride going to be in October?
This weekend.
Saturday.
Yes, yeah, it's this weekend.
All right, so it won't be in time for Sparks.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just going to be election or moving around our meeting place in November and
Swamp
And in
Stompers in
December.
January.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hold on, y'all. I'm writing down all this. But yeah, I can send something
Thank you.
real quick. Okay. So I know we just had Jim and Lynn join us. So we did there's no objection to meeting in person next week. So we'll meet in person and then have the link on the website and in Sparks in case anybody can't attend. Let's see.
You want to just put the link in there and not even address it?
I don't know. I mean, I'd really like to just start saying, hey, we're going to meet in person. But then, by the way, here's a link, I guess, to, I don't know. I
We
mean, that
strongly
way
encourage.
yeah, that's not a bad idea. Just saying we encourage in-person attendance.
And as we move
Um,
forward in future meetings, I wouldn't even advertise the Zoom, make them ask for it.
Yeah.
Make them dig for it.
Wow, that's going to be, that will be,
I don't know, I just thought.
yeah.
If
Well,
we're
that's
trying-
not a bad idea. Maybe we could bury it further into Sparks or something. I don't know.
Just don't mention Zoom and say our meeting is meeting in person.
Yeah.
At, you know, or the
Yeah.
meeting will be held, you know, just like we always have, and don't mention Zoom.
I wouldn't do that.
I
think
do
that-
want to mention it still this time, the
Right.
Zoom link for
Mm.
sure.
maybe,
Have they got the air
Also, I got
conditioning?
word that the air conditioner has been fixed, repaired.
Yeah, that answers that question.
I mean, I think that Zoom is a good outreach for those that are homebound and can't come out, you know. That can reach a group that, you know, would not readily be available to come. But yes, if we could like encourage others, you know, if somebody's sick or they are homebound, it would be a good thing for them to be able to attend, but you know, otherwise. But it may be
Well-
bury it deeper instead of putting it on the first page.
Well, maybe this time, and then like I said, I'll kind of work on the wording and send it to everybody, but maybe like y'all just said, we could just say we encourage everyone to attend in person. And then still list the Zoom link right there at the top. So that way we just, I don't know. I mean, it's
Okay.
still
Yeah,
the
I'm
same
good with
thing we've
that.
been doing, but it's kind
Sure.
of letting folks know in a subtle way that we're wanting to change over.
Right.
We can say
Right.
fresh snacks available.
There you go, for sure.
Or your name will be entered in the drawing if you attend in person.
All right, so for November, I have not personally found anywhere that we could use. Ham Hilliard reached out and said that he got permission if we would like to use this again, because November is the same night as the election night, so we would have to find somewhere other than the fellowship hall. But he said that he's got permission if we would like to use the Millington Fire Training Center. So it seats about 25 and we can bring extra chairs if we need to. It has Wi-Fi, hardwire internet, and a screen. So it doesn't sound like it's that big, but honestly, if it's all the way up in Millington and that's where we happen to meet, I don't expect that many people to want to drive all the way over there. And so I don't know if anybody else has any ideas of where we could meet in person. If Joe, is it possible at all to use the church sanctuary hall?
I doubt if they'll want it because of people coming in and out of voting.
Okay.
They'll want the parking lot clear for
Okay.
people voting.
Well, in that case, any other ideas for in person? Do we want to consider going up to Millington, or is that the month that we want to default to Zoom?
Is there a
I mean, I know-
restaurant in the area that, you know, that has a room large enough, you know, and maybe we could eat before or something like that and then stay in the meeting room? I know I've been a part of SME before, Society of Manufacturing Engineers, and we've done that periodically where, you know, we'll show up at a restaurant and eat and then have the meeting afterwards. But it may be a little bit of a stretch if you have to do the Zoom and you have to be live or something like that. So,
Yeah.
Does Danvers out there have a meeting room?
No,
Mm-mm.
Are there any other restaurants, Joe, that you know of that have a meeting room?
no, Panera
Jason's?
has turned theirs into an executive conference room for just
What
their
about-
management.
What about Jason's?
There's no separate room.
Jason's over there at Poplar and Holland. I don't know.
I think
if
they
that's-
charge $200 for the room.
And that's something else to consider. Everything I can think of that might be an option. I mean, we could probably consider a library. We could probably consider something Like the city of Bartlett has a couple facilities, but everything I can think of that we could utilize would probably cost, which if we want to consider that, we can, but
I think
I don't
that's
know.
when you, if you can't have a meeting place.
What
I'd
about
say
the
Zoom.
the Appling precinct, Mr. Joe, where you did some training? Appling Farms Parkway at that
Well, I
precinct?
can call and see. But,
That's the police
that was a-
department out there, Joe.
yeah,
That was a really nice facility.
We don't exactly have the pool we used to.
Yeah.
Sure.
no. And I don't know if the lady that I had contact with is still there or not. But,
And
I'll
moving it,
try tomorrow and see.
and moving it to a different night, is that of the question?
Zoom.
I think, I want to say, I mean, I'd have to look at our bylaws specifically, but I think as long as we advertised it early enough, so like if we started telling everybody at next week's meeting, unless there was something prohibiting it in the bylaws, like, I think that might be an option, but I'd have to double check what it specifically says.
Do they have Wednesday night services at that church?
Probably so.
Probably. And Monday night, would they be setting up for the election?
It would
Yes.
already be set up. Yeah, they set up the night before,
So,
or they bring the machines in. They don't set up to the next morning before 6 o'clock or
still talking
whatever.
about the night before and the night after of our normal meeting being potentially.
But they
5.
bring the machines in and I think they have to be secured. So I'm not sure you'd be able to come in there just because of security of the machines.
Right.
Well, what if we want to consider a different date, what about bumping it back 1 week? On a Tuesday night, the following Tuesday night at 7 o'clock.
That would work.
That could work, yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to move the board of directors meeting.
We could, I don't know, maybe, but
You
We
could
could-
skip a board of directors meeting 1 week. 1 month.
Well, we could just
that would be nice. Yeah.
do the board meeting. We could do the board meeting, same as the meeting.
Yeah.
No, that's,
Okay.
You could do it 30 minutes earlier upstairs.
well, but you're
Yeah, with the
trying to
minutes
set
and
up and
stuff.
everything, so it makes it
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah,
I'll call the police precinct and see
Okay.
if we can do it.
The police precinct would be nice because it's right off the interstate and it's right off of those major, you're able to get to it easily.
I could also call the Baptist Women's Hospital and see about that classroom ABC.
Does
I'm
anybody
not
have
sure
I don't
hospitals
know.
are letting big crowds.
Yeah,
in.
I don't know, but
I don't
yeah.
either.
it's worth a phone call.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Carolyn?
does anybody have a country club membership and they're owed a favor?
I
I
wish.
gave
but-
mine up. Your club.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, because I know the biggest thing about talking about this tonight is that if we can get a little traction, it would be nice to announce whatever we're going to do at next week's meeting. So that way there's an entire month for people to plan, whether it's at a different location, whether it's Zoom only, whether it's a different date. And if we want to, we could even bring it and ask everybody next week. If we're not sure, we could put it to a vote and see, but Joe, for now, if you don't mind calling and checking on that, and then John, if you want to call and check on that as well, or we can just wait on Joe first and see.
I'll go ahead and call tomorrow and see what I can find out.
If Joe can't get that, I think it would be worth looking at just having our meeting a
Just
week
Zoom.
early
Or a week early.
or a week later.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll
a
do it
week
on
later
Tuesday
is
night.
week of Thanksgiving week, so a lot of people might
Ooh.
be traveling.
Oh, okay. Week early.
The 15th,
No, 15, yeah, that should be in between.
yeah,
What is
Thanksgiving,
it?
24th, it'd be the 15th is when we have, yeah, the 15th, the week.
Okay.
14th, So,
Okay, that might be all right then.
All right, so maybe option one is meeting at a different location. Joe's gonna check in on that. Option two, push it back a week. Cause I feel like a Tuesday night, a week later would be better than trying for a Monday or a Wednesday or something.
Don't forget the Zoom option.
Or option three, Zoom only. I mean, I know I'm saying that as an option after we just mentioned what we did earlier, but I
I
don't
mean,
know.
we're in between a rock and a hard place, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, you want me to check with the church to see if we can get the 15th?
yeah, it wouldn't hurt
Okay.
if you can. And so that way we've got some options, and then we could just ask everybody next week and present that and see.
Yeah.
So
Or, we could vote on, have 2 or 3 options and vote on it, I guess.
yeah. That's gonna be 15th. All right, cool.
You don't want to make it too complicated.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess when you find that out, Joe, let us know, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Let me pull up my agenda. All right, so I'd have to go back and see, but Joe, you sent an idea for the October program next week, and I have not thoroughly looked at it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm trying to remember what it was.
I think it was
Was that
using,
about contesting or something?
yeah, using N1MM, Intro to Contesting.
Okay, that was an online, a YouTube, I believe. And the guy that presented it, I think, is N8 something, that the one that gave the presentation on QSLing.
I
Okay.
think you're correct.
Okay. Well, that's, if it's an introduction to contesting,
Is
I
that the
think
one
it
that y'all
sounds like a
emailed
good
out?
idea. Yeah, Joe emailed it out.
I think it's a good
Port
idea.
City ARC?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. And because I haven't heard yet from Jason if he wrapped up what he was working on. So I'm going to assume that he's not ready to go with that. So I think, I don't know, an introduction to contesting sounds good to me. Any objection to that for our program next week?
Negative.
Nope.
All right. Sorry, y'all. I know I'm going a little bit slower, but I'm not used to pulling all this up on my laptop. Okay. All right. So real quick recap. So we had the Memphis area amateur radio club's first aid CPR class a few weeks ago. We had a handful of members from Delta Club, and we actually had some of our members sign up through Neshoba, but who were also Delta Club members. And we had, I think, 11 overall take the class. Scott McDermott also volunteered to be one of the instructors. Of course, Fred Miller with Neshoba was the lead instructor there, but I thought it was a fun class. We had a good group. It was, I've taken quite a few of these classes, and personally, I thought it was one of the better ones I've taken. I think because of the smaller group size, and it was very hands-on, and we had quite a few instructors, so it was easy to match up with folks as they were working through the different skills. So it was really neat, in my opinion, getting to walk through, and we got to tour the emergency side of things with the we got to hear from one of the reserve deputies or some of the reserve deputies, and then some of the other emergency the community volunteers. And I know I'm not getting their title right with that, but it was just really cool to get to see a lot of the equipment, get to see where everything is housed, get to hear what they kind of go through on a daily basis when they're out working these events. I enjoyed it. So,
I did too.
yeah. But
I just got word that we can have it on the 15th at
Okay.
Ellendale.
Yeah, and Mary Jean, you told me that there would be some forthcoming information about reimbursement to Neshoba for the CPR class. Is that correct?
Yes, I have not. We are going to, I've got to double check with Fred, but pretty much we're going to write a check to Fred. And I honestly forgot about that with everything going on.
Okay, no worries.
Thank you for reminding me. So yeah, we'll basically what's going to happen is we'll write a check to Fred for the individuals that we signed up. And
Okay.
so
How many members did we have attend?
the ones who we signed up to take the money for would be 3. So we had a 4th one that didn't show, but Barry, Carolyn, and I all did that. So it should be 22 times 3, $66 that we'll send Neshoba. But let me double check one more thing before you cut a check for that. But
Okay. Okay.
But we had 3 who signed up through us, and so yeah, we all opted for the certificate through American Heart Association. And Carolyn, did you get your email?
I sure did, and
Okay.
this is.
Who was the other person?
This is a
Barry McDonald or
sample of
Barry
the
Mundy?
certificate.
Monday.
Monday, yeah.
But yeah, I'll email Fred tonight and then confirm that either tonight or tomorrow or whenever he responds, Jim.
Okay. All right. I was curious. I thought we would have more than 3 members from our club.
So
kind of surprised.
we had Ned Savage was there,
Yeah.
Tom Dacara was there,
The sheriff.
Bob Van Kuren, Dashara,
Ishara.
Bob Van Kuren. So there were actually several others, but I think because Fred mentioned it in their meeting before we mentioned it in ours, they signed up through him first.
Okay.
Because Tom even had emailed me back whenever I sent something out and said that he had already signed up. And so I think, I'm sure had we met earlier that we would have had a few more technically sign up through us, but which, I mean, that's how it is with Mara, with Neshoba, with Delta Club, and some of the others in the area, that so many of our members are members of all these other organizations and vice versa. So of course it was nice because there were several ladies and a few others who were members of only Neshoba. And then I don't know if Barry is a member in anything else, or Carolyn, I don't know if you're a member in anything else, but
No, I'm not. No.
but it was a good way to get everybody kind of interacting and get to know some of the other hams in the area who aren't at our meetings and then also learn a valuable life skill.
Did everybody pass?
As far as I know, yes, they did, but because I think I saw that Scott had signed off on some of the ones who I know had to kind of learn a different technique
Yeah,
at first
yeah,
to
I
be
saw
able to
too.
complete it, and so I
Yeah.
think he was able to help show them kind of a different way to do it, and it seemed like they were doing everything they needed to. So
That's
as far
really
as I
good.
know, everybody passed.
Did anybody take any pictures?
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yes.
got some. Scott did.
Yes.
I
And
was wondering
so
if there was anything that could be put in Sparks that, regarding that, or is that,
I
or
think I
or just on the
sent
website?
Mike, I sent you some already, right? Or am I thinking of
I
somebody?
haven't seen anything.
Okay, I'll forward you. They're on Facebook. I know I posted some on there, I think. But I'll forward some to go in Sparks or on the website or whatever. Probably in Sparks. And I will also write something up as well. All right. Since this is a big deal, I'm going to go on and ask this now, and then we can get to the officer reports after this. But John, do you want to give us an update since it's now October on the board nominations for next year?
Yeah. Pull up my notepad file here. So yeah, I'm still working on finding somebody. Everybody is pretty much saying the same thing, that they don't really have the time availability to commit. I am waiting to hear back from Mike Sparks. Paul Broom did indicate that he, if nobody else will do the secretary position, that he would be willing to do that. So yeah, so we've got that position tentatively filled, at least, if I can't find anybody else, but we're continuing to look for a director of programs and offering the secretary position as well, since it's not really Paul's first choice. But Paul has a lot of just trying to think. Let me try to find the email he sent me. He sounds like he would be really good in some other areas as well. For some reason I'm not able. There we go.
Publications?
So he said he's not really interested in serving due to limited time availability. Having said that, he's willing to serve as secretary if no one else is interested. And he said he wouldn't be offended if we find somebody else that did want to do it after he's in that position. And he said he doesn't think he'd do a good job with programs just because there's so much. And then he's hoping to be a VE, and he's also a recovering CPA. So he might be able to help out for our treasurer, who's doing a spectacular job. But
I was gonna-
I'm teasing.
But
That
anyway.
sounds like a yes to me.
Yeah, I mean, he threw a lot, because the first sentence was he wasn't really interested, but then he threw out all this other stuff. And so he is willing to serve as secretary. And I
I
told
think
him
he'd be
I
good.
might take him up on that.
Yeah.
I'm
Director of programs, I'm still searching for. I really am even, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but maybe from a trying to sell this standpoint, if I sold it from a, or tried to twist people's arm from a standpoint that maybe we could have more than one person doing the programs.
We've done that before.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
maybe,
I think that's a great
maybe
idea.
tell Jason, hey, look, you don't have to be the director of programs, we kind of get you to do,
Co-director.
4 presentations a year,
Well, mainly sell it that they're basically an introduction to the programs. They don't have to give the program themselves. It's
Yeah.
it's introducing the different programs.
And that's exactly what I've
Mhm.
been saying to people. The director of programs position involves lining up a presentation for each month for our monthly meetings. And you do not have to do the presentation, you just simply have to find folks willing to share. In
But
their
you might also say the board members also give a lot of input into the programs.
Right.
Mhm.
So to where it's not on that one person's shoulders for all the programs.
Yeah. So I am trying to
Absolutely.
tell it as they don't have to do everything themselves, that, they just have to line up some stuff.
In theory, that could be really one of the least time consuming board positions. Like Joe said, and like
That's
we've all
right.
talked about, like if all they have to do is just be charismatic and say, hey, you are very like Pat or somebody, you're really knowledgeable about this. Can you talk for 20 to 40 minutes on this subject? Or, hey,
Right.
so and so, and like Joe said, like, I mean, I know in the past, I mean, and we've gotten away from this a little bit lately, minus what we've talked about not having a director. But in the past, I know when I first joined, I mean, I remember us talking about it all the time. And Joe and some of the others who have been around for a while, we're constantly sharing ideas
Right.
on what the program could be. And so it really doesn't have to be that time consuming. I mean, if
In
they
summer,
want
it's
to, I
given.
guess they
You know,
could, but
We know June's going to be field day. So,
mhm.
you
Well, and then there's
In
not one in
December is-
December.
right.
Mhm.
That's right. There's
So,
well, one that is easy to find a program for, and the other, or a
Mhm.
topic for, and the other that
and we can have David Norris talk. David Norris and Ed Hudgens can come in. We can get Thomas probably on Zoom to do a meeting for Tennessee section.
Yeah.
So, if we're looking for programs, I think David Norris hadn't spoken for a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Glenn Popeil has a couple of books coming out. He might want to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
here in 3 minutes of talking, we've got 4 presentation ideas already. So I mean, it doesn't.
Mhm.
So so the search for that position continues, and I will keep offering up the secretary position, since Paul did say that his first sentence was he'll do it if he has to. So
Yeah. Well, since we're supposed to have the nominations in next week, I would say go on and pitch it to Paul.
Okay. I'll just go
And I
ahead.
mean, if it helps, you can tell him that we can still try to ask around, and he can still try to ask around.
Right.
Honestly, and Carolyn may see this differently, but for me, I mean, it was very time consuming. And once I finally like realized what I was doing, I kind of didn't want to not do it, because it was like, well, I spent all this time learning what to do and figuring out the process. So might as well stick with it for a while. But I don't know, he may get into it and find somebody who wants to do that for a few years, and that's fine. But I would say if he's expressed, if nobody else will do it, I think I've said that a few times, and here we are,
Yeah.
So I would say try to pitch that to him, and
Okay.
because that's a big position. We can kind of make do with programs, but I know it would really throw a wrench into things if we don't have secretary.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and a lot of our positions, every one of our positions is incredibly important, and I'd rather have programs filled, but I know that's a big one.
Fine. And to be honest, I will, with Paul, I will continue looking for somebody else even once,
Yeah.
he does want to step down, or somebody that would be willing to step up should he want to. So,
Yeah.
Anyway,
And that's a fair point too. So we just have to have the nominations made from the nominating committee next week for October, but we can take nominations on the floor. So if he's willing to take on that responsibility, but you and him or whoever on the committee still wants to try to reach out, we could always make a nomination on the floor for somebody else for secretary in
right.
November, and then just and tell the reason and just say, hey, look, Paul was willing to take this on, but we found somebody who is willing to commit, and Paul would rather withdraw his nomination and then go with it that way. But I know we do need to get something,
Yeah.
some kind of slate nominated next week at the meeting. So
I will reach back out to Paul and just tell him that, hey, we've looked, we can't find anybody else. So, he'll be on the.
One thing, Jason is not a member, I don't believe.
really,
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Yep.
okay.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know if he's
a member.
attended enough meetings, but
Oh,
He's
no.
attended
that-
7.
Yeah, he's definitely a member. And tell Paul I'm willing to help him out to get over any rough stretches. So,
okay.
but it is a lot of work. And the thing is, you have to be available for all the scheduled meetings. And so that's throws a wrench in the works for me.
Well, I'm sure if he needed to miss one, he could call one of us and we'd take the notes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's recorded also, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
But the rules, the club rules, I think state that, you can't miss too many meetings.
Right. Oh, I understand. I just
Yeah.
trying to sell it.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I can't speak for Carolyn, but for me, once I kind of got into a groove to everything, I'm not going to say it went easier, but I guess you kind of, you get into a routine,
Right.
and it seems like it goes a little smoother once you get used to that routine. But I'm sure that's with anything, this position was rough at first until I kind of got into the routine, and I'm sure, Jim and anybody else can say the
Yeah,
same.
For sure.
So, but, well, Carolyn, you said you don't think you'll be able to make next week, correct?
Well, I'll be in Missouri, and like you, I'll be at a hotel where I was looking at the comments on the Wi-Fi for the reviews of past customers, and they said it was kind of up and down depending on how many people were logged on. I can try to log on and then maybe have somebody as a backup if I drop out. We could go with that.
Yeah, because one thing I thought about, and John, I don't know if, it's might be a lot to throw at him if he hasn't committed yet, but that might be something good for Paul if he'd be willing to want to even just jot down a few notes. And because we do record this, but I know there's key things to make sure, and I try to take notes when I'm going through stuff, like who makes what motion, who seconds it, things like that. But just to kind of have somebody, or if anybody else here wants to volunteer that, just to jot down like the order of things in the off chance that Zoom decides to go haywire, or I don't do something right, with technology. That way there's a backup. And because if we know the rough order, we can kind of piece together what was said probably, or and I can try to record it or something on my phone as a backup as well. But I don't know, just to have a backup.
Well, I'll try to log in, so I'll definitely make the attempt. And I'll certainly text you if nothing is going right, and we'll have to go with plan B.
Okay. All right. All right, Jim, do you want to go on and start off with officer reports?
Sure. May I share my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Where's my word? There we go. Okay, I'm going to start backwards this time. Okay, so in the month of September, we had a number of new memberships or renewals, but I didn't get any of my deposits in, and because I wasn't at the last meeting, Mary Jean took the applications and payments, and they didn't make it in as well for the September statement. So you'll see we had $70 in club membership plus $66 for the CPR class, and those will be reflected on the October statement. But I didn't want people to think, oh yeah, we took your money, but there's no accounting for it during the month of September. So I do have that that note there that these will appear next month. So the only thing that we had in only activity we had on our checking account was a check to Joe for reimbursement for shipping expenses for items sold from state sales, VE supplies, Huntsville Hamfest table, and I think there might have been some drinks or something like that on there as well. I don't have.
Yeah, it was a
spreadsheet up.
case of Diet Coke that didn't get on the
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Diet Coke debacle. Anyway, so that's the only thing that we had there. So going back, looking at our checking account, we started out the month at $24,572.90. The one check to Joe for $300.53, which left us with $24,272.37. Moving forward to our certificate of deposit, you can see here that it's maturing this month on the 19th. And I did talk to Tori at Regions Bank regarding what our options are for CDs there. And she indicated that we have a 10-day grace period. So we have until the 29th of the month to make a decision as to what we want to do. If we don't act on the CD, then it will roll over using the same product that we originally used. So you can see that this was issued in 2016, December of 2016, maturing in October of 22. So it was a 70-month CD and at only 1.59%.
Can you find out what the interest rate, since the Fed has bumped it up?
Yep. So
it
here
should
we
be
go.
Better interest.
Right. So here we go. So our current term was 70 months at 1.59. And as of today, grabbed this off their website, and I confirmed with Tori that these numbers are accurate for a small business CD, even though these are regular, it shows as regular. So 9 months at 1.49, 13 months at 1.98, 25 months at 2.23. So this seems to be the sweet spot here, because then it drops back to 1.98% at a 35-month option.
I'd go ahead and renew it for the
2.23.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, we will have to show up at the bank, everybody that has a name on the account. So Mary Jean, I can't remember. Is it just you and I that are on there?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because we dropped Steve and, well,
And
depending
Linda.
on the CD, it was either Steve and Linda or Steve and David. And so we dropped both of those. And we should be, well, on the one that's already switched over, and then this one. So it should be
Right.
just you and I. So I guess whenever,
Okay.
I should be slowing down now with everything. I feel like it's been crazy, but let me know whenever works for you to be up there, and I can
Okay.
be up there to, if that's what everybody wants to do.
Yeah, do we need to like take a vote on that, or how do we?
Well, if
Because
if
I
we
mean, I'll be
can,
happy to just move it into my personal account, and I got a pretty good
all
interest
right.
rate.
So if we can pause where we're at with this, and Barry, do you mind giving, and I guess I should have started with Barry first, but Barry, do you mind giving us an update if you have one on the repeater?
Yeah, the 8-2 repeater is just working. It's working pretty good right now. I wish I could tell you why, but I don't know. And you know, we're just going to use it as it is, until it messes up again. Hopefully never. But anyway, I'm as far as the 440 repeater out there that I'm working on, I did get the parts in for it. I'll submit the receipt, after I get it to working. But I think it's like $64, which is cheap for us, me. But my head just hadn't been into working on it here lately. So, but it's sitting right there on my bench. So I will get on that. But we appreciate the loaner that we're using right now for the 440. And, I'll have an update soon, hopefully.
Do we want to buy an amplifier for the 440?
Very possible. Rick may, he may just donate it. So he had like 3 of them that he
Oh,
didn't
okay.
even know he had. Yeah.
Go to his warehouse upstairs in the attic.
Yeah, that's where he found it. He went up there looking, says, "Oh, here's one, here's another one, and another one." So, but if we need to, we can. So, but in the meantime, definitely decided to run it that way. I'm only running that one at 5 watts, and then we have this amplifier, external amplifier that boosted on up to about 50, and that seems to be doing really well, and we don't stand a chance of overheating it, which apparently this. And after I've got this one all torn apart, and I can see why. I really can. It's just not enough heat sink in there to dissipate the heat. So running it at 5 watts instead of 50 seems to be the ticket. So
Well, hopefully he'll work with this, but if we had to buy an amplifier, what ballpark do you think we might spend?
it's not all that much,
400 maybe,
Okay.
How much?
400.
I didn't think it was that much.
It might not be that much, but
Well, max, okay, about 400-ish.
It'd be worth it. It'd be worth it.
Okay. Well, with what you've, so if we were looking at a 25-month CD, and we've got right now, I mean, I know we're going to have some expenses that have to come out, and we'll have deposits that are added in, but if we're looking around 20 to 24,000 in our account right now, do you think it would be safe to lock up that extra $10,000 for another 2 years? Or do we need to hold on to it in the checking account? I guess in general, do you?
we can pull it and forfeit all the interest.
Yeah. That's true.
So let's go ahead and do the what is it, Jim? 2.53?
2.23.
2.23 percent. That's more than we're getting right now,
Mhm.
and see what happens.
All right, so that's all. If we did pull it early, that's all that would happen. We would just lose the interest. We wouldn't be fined anything, or as far as y'all know? Because I'm not familiar with CDs as far as the
As
procedures.
far as
and
I know,
everything.
you just lose the interest.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's a 2.23. I know that in the past we've spoken about taking some of the money out of the checking and putting it into a CD. Do we want to consider, moving some of that nearly $25,000?
Well, no, it's 14,000.
No,
No, it's.
I think it's
Well,
I think it's 24 and then 10 on top. Well, it'd be 11 now.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
yeah. So we have 24,000 in checking, at plus the nearly 11,000 in the CD. So
What's the 1 year rate?
the 1 year,
1.91.
13 months at 1.98, which is still better than what we have right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Keep in mind how quick I can eat that up.
5,000. We could do 5,000 at the 1.9 rate.
what were you saying, Barry?
I said, just keep in mind how quick I can eat a lot of that up.
Yeah.
If something happens, especially at the 8-2 site. So
Yeah, 'cause if-
I'm just saying. So you want to keep some, certain amount liquid.
Me personally, I would think if anything, I would not want to roll over more than 10,000, which is already tied up in the CD right now. So pull that 900 something out and then just roll over the 10,000 into a new CD would be my thought. But if, because we talked about this before, if something came up next month with the 8.2 repeater, because ballpark for a climber would be what, $5 or $6 grand, $4
It's at
grand.
least about $4 grand. It's about what we paid last time. And then, whatever we have to replace or do or whatever on top of that. So let me tell you, that feed line is not cheap if we have to
Jim?
replace some of it.
Jim, can you see
sir.
what happens if you withdraw early? If it's
Yes,
just
sir.
loss of interest?
Yeah, I'll find out on that.
I mean, I'd recommend rolling this over to the new 2.23 and then pulling 5,000 out and doing it on a 13-month. As long as we can pull it out and just lose the interest.
And that would leave you about 18,000 left that you could use for the repeater in case something happens with that. And then you would have to pull your CD for more
Yeah.
money.
Okay, so you're saying, so we'd roll over basically the 10,000 we've got now in roughly the 2-year one at the 2.something%, and then also take out 5,000 to do the 13-month. So we'd essentially have 15,000 tied up in CDs, but at different times.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way, and then, you have 15,000 in CDs, which is, and then you can always, granted, if you read the fine print on Jim, if you read there's a substantial penalty for early withdrawal. So you just have to find that out. But
Yeah, right.
But it might be, it can't be, it can't be that much. But it's an emergency fund, but it just costs us money to get the emergency fund out. But in case we need it, we'll have it. Because it sure isn't making any interest in the checking account that we have now. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll find out
that's
what
true.
the penalties are, and I can send a note out to our distribution for the board of directors.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I'd say while we're all on here, and I'll split it up so we can just kind of vote on it separately. So assuming that there's no penalty or any major penalty outside of we would just lose the interest rates. Let's vote on when this come October 19th, that Jim would essentially roll this over the 10,000 into a 25-month, 2.23% interest rate CD. So 10,000 in that, if we want to vote. All those
I
in
would say
favor.
go ahead and
I'm in
increase
favor.
it to $11,000 even.
Okay,
And
so with the interest as well that we've got on it.
yeah, have 11,000. It's only
Okay.
$43 more to get it to 11,000.
Okay, so $11,000 in the 23-month. No, wait, what was it? 20? Scroll down, Jim, would you?
25.
25-month
25 months,
CD.
yeah.
So $11,000 in the 25-month CD, assuming again no major penalty besides losing the interest for early withdrawal. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no or raise your hand. Okay, all right. So the motion passes. So we'll do that again, Jim, if you could let us know to confirm that.
Will do.
Because if there is something, then we can always bring this back up again. All right, and
Okay.
so the second one, out of the checking, we will vote on whether to pull $5,000 and put it into a 13-month CD at 1.98%. All those in favor say aye
Aye.
or raise
Aye.
your hand. All right, any opposed, say no or raise your hand.
I have a question.
All right, shoot.
Are these insured just like the accounts are insured?
They should be.
FDIC?
Yeah,
FDIC.
definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, then that's fine.
Okay.
I think until we reach 100,000.
Okay.
All right. Well, that unanimously passed as well. So again, Jim, let us know if anything, what you find out on that. So pending
Right.
any possible penalties, we'll have about 16 grand in CDs. So
right.
hopefully the repeaters will act well and we can keep that there.
Very good.
Oh, and then also, I guess, once you find out for sure that there's no penalties in that, let me know whatever day works for you and I'll try to
Right.
make it work and we can be in touch.
Okay. There's another payment that is, it looks like it's now posted to the checking account for this month, for October. And that was for the equipment insurance. That was, I want to say it was like $235. Let's see what, $235.48. So that will appear on next month's report. But just wanted to let you know that was taken care of.
Awesome. And because that's with ARRL, right?
Correct. Well, it's through ARRL, but it's another insurance company. But yeah, it is based through them.
Okay.
And I did post a link in the chat earlier. Just wanted to encourage everybody to take a look at that if you weren't familiar with this mapping site. That you can just put in a zip code or a Maidenhead Square and it shows all the hams that are in the SEC database and where they're located. So it puts pins on there. And I was quite shocked to see how many hams we have in the area. Now, obviously not all active, or maybe not active on the repeaters, but it was kind of fun to see, who all was around, especially in the neighborhood.
It's because of the New Madrid fault.
Yep.
Yeah. Huh, okay. All right, neat.
All right, so.
Pretty cool.
And I don't think I have anything else. Anybody have any questions for me? If we can keep Paul in our back pocket for next year, that might be good. I know at some point my wife has been wanting to to move back north. So I don't know how soon that will actually be, but at some point I will have to get out of the game.
Okay.
Bloomfield.
Well-
But I'm good for the next year at least.
Okay. Well, and that may help. You know, again, I know Zoom could potentially help us in certain situations, but if we really start encouraging and pushing people to meet in person, it's also easier to tap people on the shoulder, to try to get them to help. And in my opinion, if I'm going to something in person, I'm going to feel more invested and more willing to help than if I just log onto a computer screen once a month and everything. So, I mean, I know that's the world we've been in for the past few years, but getting to be in person more when we can might help us with that.
But
Which
but
I do
we'll
want to
need-
say,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do want to say, you know, I know a lot of you guys have been doing this for a while. I know some of you haven't been here as long, only within the past few years, but thank you for doing all that you do. And I know it gets tiring, and I know we sometimes probably feel like we're beating our heads against the wall, but it definitely makes a difference. And, you know, I don't know, it makes a difference. So thanks for being here.
Well, to tap people on the shoulder, we'll need Joe to come back to the meetings because we know that he's the best at twisting arms.
Oh, that's true.
I second that motion.
Yeah, he'll bring his cattle prod.
I haven't had to use it.
All right.
Mm.
All right. Well, Carolyn.
All right. We have 3 membership applications. The first one is Mike Sparks, KW4RI. And his is to December 2023. So I am assuming, I'll have to look in my book, that he already paid for 2022. So I'll be sending him out a 2023 card only.
Maybe that's a good sign because I reached out to him and asking him about the director of programs. So maybe he's getting his membership application in anticipation of accepting that.
Okay. And then Robert Taylor, KQ4DFW. He's a technician, and his is for up to December 2024. So he's paid for 2 years. I guess the rest of this year is free. And
Yeah, I was
so-
actually going to ask about that. I didn't know. Is he a graduate of one of our classes, one of Joe's classes?
What is his name? The name-
Robert Taylor.
I think he is the older gentleman who came to test at the meeting, and his eyesight or something is bad because I think he had to have the Uber.
Oh,
And so,
He's a black gentleman.
yes,
Bob Taylor. Okay.
What's his
Scott
address?
McDermott sat down and worked with him on getting some stuff answered and helping him find some stuff like our website on his phone and things like that. So I know he couldn't stay, but like he was interested in kind of getting involved, and it's good that he, you know, got the application in. So
Okay, Len, in answer to your question, it's 102 Walnut Ridge Lane, Cordova, Tennessee, 38018.
I was just playing with that
Okay, and he is an
map
A,
and I thought I saw Bob Taylor in my neighborhood.
okay, and he is an ARRL member through the end of September 24. So I don't know how you want to work that. Do you want me to send him both 2023 and 2024 cards at the same time? Or just 2020? Well, I mean, he's got actually 3. Just send him a 2022 now, and whoever comes in is going to review all these applications and send out 2023 and 2024.
I just sent him
I think
2024.
yeah, that way we don't have
Just
to
do that.
handle it
Okay.
again. And
Okay, all right.
And
Just
honestly,
two cards,
if
that's
he,
fine.
it may be easier for him too, just to have the one.
Oh, yeah,
Card,
no, it's,
so.
yeah, okay. See if I could do a Braille imprint on it. That's another thing. And then KX4MQ, Ty McMahon. He's an extra and he looks like he's paid to the end of 2022. So, do we have a motion to accept these?
So move.
Right, so Joe made the motion. Is there a second?
I
All
said,
right,
I'll second it.
Jim got the second. I mean, I guess we
Okay.
had more than one, but we'll go with Jim. All those in
Okay.
favor of accepting the application, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no or raise your hand. All right, that unanimously passes. And we have accepted those applications.
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Scott,
We have the church with air conditioning, so that's good news. Snacks, anyone? We just say we'll have snacks like we did last time. Any suggestions, comments, or concerns?
The chocolates didn't melt while the air conditioning was out, did it?
I don't think so. I think if they did, it'd be fine.
Any keto options?
Okay, like
Like
what?
steaks?
You want steaks?
No, just
I'll
being
make them in
funny.
the microwave.
Mm.
No, I don't have anything.
Cheese platter, you know.
No, same setup
Nuts?
or any questions? Okay. No,
Do I owe you any money?
no, I haven't bought anything. I mean, since the, I haven't really bought anything. I mean, I think that we're good unless anyone wants anything different, but we should be good for until the new year. I mean, are we gonna do anything for Christmas?
Hams and turkey.
Well, I know that, but I mean,
I don't know, that's a good question. I would be open to it. But it also, I guess, depends a little, but I don't know. Then again, like Lynn and, we talked about earlier, what we were all saying is that, I mean, there's vaccines out now, there's treatments, honestly, at this point, everybody knows what's available. And so if they want to do something, they've got that option. And if they're good with it, then, they've got that option. And if we want to try to do something in person for a Christmas holiday meeting, we could, more of a fellowship thing, and then folks can choose to not attend.
I was gonna say, it's kind of hard to do that with Zoom.
Yeah. Well, that could be, if we want to do that, that could be one where we don't do
Don't have a Zoom.
Zoom. Because if we don't really do a program anyway,
It's
I
a
don't know.
fellowship time and Zoom's
Yeah.
not it is a fellowship time, but not an eating fellowship time. It's kind of hard to bring a covered dish to that.
so,
something to think about.
well, we could, I'll bring it up next week and see what the room feels like. And if it seems like there's a whole lot of people against it, then we can take that and, go with it. Or if there's, I don't know, if there's a lot of support to have that, then that might kind of give us our answer. Personally, I'm for it, but I also don't want to put a lot of effort into doing something, and especially Scott, with you getting the ham and all that stuff, and then we have like 5 people show up. So.
Okay.
I
That's
don't know,
all I
is there any thought about maybe just taking a month off? I mean, does anybody want to have a break?
Had a
I
3-year
don't-
break.
I think we would still have to meet to go over like minutes and stuff like that, I think. But we could just have a meeting where it's just a short meeting and no meal if
Or
we
meet
don't want to
on
do
the-
that.
your own stuff.
Okay.
that too.
I think the people are gonna want a meal
Yeah.
and fellowship, because it's been a while since we've done it. And, you know, the shots are there, you know, what we've all said before. And just
So
let
what
it be
about,
what it is.
yeah, well, what about this? I mean, would it be safe? Is there any objection to approaching this next week to say that we would like to recommend and we would like to see a fellowship Christmas dinner at the December meeting, unless there's a big objection from the group? Would you guys be okay with that?
Or hear their thoughts
yeah.
on it.
Now, are we talking like we've done in the past where the club has just provided the, you know, an entree and everybody else does a potluck type thing? Or are we talking about the club taking care of all of it?
We'll see what
It'd
they
be,
say.
I would think either potluck or everybody bring their own food and then we just provide the opportunity. I would think not to do the whole meal for the club because that would get pretty expensive, but
I think a
know.
potluck with, isn't it what we've done before, done, Scott, turkey and ham, or just
Actually, what
ham?
we provide would be the ham. And
Yeah.
the drinks. And then everyone else pitch in on everything else.
I'll be back in a minute.
So, I mean, it's just something to think about, just to get the ball rolling to see what we might be doing.
So did
So
we get two hams in the past?
I think I did. I think I had 2 hams. And there again, we don't know how many are coming, and so it'd probably be 2 hams and
Everybody else bring a pitch in.
bring a
It
pitch.
seems to, you know, dessert or baked beans or potato salad or dressing or whatever they want to bring.
Bottle.
I would just bring it up to the table to see what we're going to do this year. If we're not going to do anything. That's
Okay.
fine. But I
Okay.
think we do need to meet at least so I can get rid of more of the drinks and stuff that I have. Because I need to keep I need to rotate my stock.
Sounds good. We'll bring it up and see what they say.
So really the
All right.
only big expense the club has on that is the meat, 2 hams.
2 hams.
And it's been
And that-
ample food from everybody else. I mean, we've never been shy of food to the ones I've been to.
Mhm.
And since we haven't done anything in the past couple of years, and be a celebration to come back.
That's true. All right. Well, we'll ask and see.
And I know that crowd loves to eat.
I miss the
Sure.
prizes.
Yeah.
Some
Are
people
we allowed
won't
to do
take
prizes
out.
at all?
Well, we haven't been, honestly, I don't know. I would like to see us bring it back, but I would almost, if we're not sure what we're gonna do for November, and then with everything else, I would almost say if we just held off on the prizes and then decided if we want to completely start over again with prizes and keeping up with the tickets starting in January. And I guess at that point, it would be up to the new board. So either those of us returning and then the new members, but that way, like, it gives whoever's going to be secretary time to get that plan, and we're not kind of rushing and doing things halfway. And then that might also help encourage, you know, if that's what we want to do, encourage in-person attendance, as if, hey, it's, you know, we've been adjusting last year. But this year, you know, we're going to start really, I mean, you know, start pushing in person, and we're going to bring back prizes at the November meeting, and you have to be in person and fill out a ticket to be eligible. Because I'm sure whoever is secretary can do that, but it's, you know, to sit here and deal with the tickets and then also sit there on Zoom and have to go through and type up the attendees and then print out every single thing and then cut out each and every name. I mean, it's possible, but it's a lot of extra work for one person. I feel like that it would be better, in my opinion, just to say, let's wait and then only do it for in-person.
I think you're
events.
right. I think just
I
start in
agree.
January for next year.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I just wanted to bring that up just to see if there was still interest or if it was even available. I know that there's, state requirements and restrictions and that type of thing for like raffle type stuff, but I didn't know about for other prizes that didn't require somebody to, put money in.
Well, and I don't think, I think they've mentioned money in the past. I don't remember ever having the option to buy extra tickets.
There
For
was at
anything.
one
No,
time.
I just meant that, I know that a quote raffle is, food, or, you're allowed
Yeah.
one per year or something like that per organization. So I didn't know if that was, if this was seen as a raffle or not.
It's a giveaway.
This
Yeah.
is a giveaway. I don't think the state's going to come after you because you're doing this. I think if you publicize it and ran ads in the newspaper and on TV and radios, this is a private organization for a Christmas party. And I mean, you
Right.
do you can call it whatever you want to, gag gifts or
I mean, the only thing we have as a requirement is to be present to win. So it'd be
and
like,
it's no charge. You got to be a member of the club, but you're not buying it. You gotta, the only way you get a prize is you come to the club meetings, and that's just an incentive for you to come to the meetings.
Well, what I'll do is I'll just bring it up to let everybody know that that's what we're thinking of doing. And a lot of our new guys won't have any idea what we're talking about.
Right.
But for anybody who's been here since pre-COVID,
And the old
then
people have
hopefully they'll be
forgotten.
excited. Yeah, and they may have forgotten, like you said. So maybe we can mention it that's something we would like to see, and just let everybody know to be thinking about it. So
The drawing, people used to be able to buy extra drawing tickets. And that's what created the problem.
Okay.
And that's
We
when we
stopped the
cut it out.
buying. And so if we stop the buying of the extra tickets and you have to fill out the ticket to be present, then that takes care of that problem.
Right,
mhm.
right.
Yeah, because since 2017, I don't remember ever having the payment option, which I thought it worked out well because, I know, I mean, I was wanting to come either way, but it seemed like just, knowing that, oh, you fill out this ticket, so the more meetings you come to, the better your chances.
Well, there are
And then, 'cause
some
we've
people
had-
that would buy and had rubber stamps
mm,
to get the prizes.
oh, wow.
Ed and Ham used to buy a lot and Lance Morris at the time. Lance many years ago, but Ham and Ned recently.
Because we've had some pretty nice prizes in the past, right? Like some antennas, and then some smaller radios or blankets or gift cards
Television
and
sets.
TVs, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's
So,
worth having a rubber stamp and buying extra tickets.
mm. Okay. Let's see, Barry, I know you talked about the repeater earlier. Did you have anything else for us?
Nope, nothing at this time.
All right. Lynn,
No, don't have anything yet.
all right, Mike.
I'll be working on Sparks. I appreciate everyone sending out what they have already. I'll try to get an early start on that. I have not had a chance to work on the website to do the PayPal thing yet, so I'm hoping to get some time this weekend to play around with that.
Okay. All right. So for an update for everybody, Jim, Mike, and I met, and it looks like it's not going to be as simple as we thought. Surprise. To link PayPal to the website. It's going to take a lot more on the website to basically embed some buttons and things like that. I don't think it's going to be too complicated, but it is going to be more complicated than we expected. So What Mike is referencing is that he's going to have to kind of log onto the website. I think, Jim, you sent him a link, right?
Yeah, I copied the link and
Okay.
I have it.
Okay. Jim, you're muted.
All right. You know, you'd think I use this every day. I wouldn't have any issues. Yeah, I do have some code that I need to send Mike for some different types of buttons and see what, see if they help. Link to our our sandbox and see if we can do some testing and see how that works. So we have like two different accounts with our PayPal. We have one that's an active link that would that we would use when we go live, and people would be able to make payments directly into our PayPal account, and then it transfers the money to Regions. And then we have a sort of a test link that we can use, or test account that they call it a sandbox, that allows us to play around and make sure that everything is working properly before we switch over to the live account. So we need to work on that part.
What
So
about security for hacking? Will the website be able to handle that?
Well, all of this would be handled by PayPal. So it's just it'll be a link on our website that would direct you to PayPal's site. You'd make your payment, and then once it's done, it would redirect you back to our website. Now, I assume that somebody could hack the account and put their own PayPal link in, but that payment's going to end up going to somebody else's account, and then PayPal would have to deal with that. But I don't suspect that we would end up dealing with that.
Yeah. And something else too, so we also tried to do some research, and so if any of you guys can think of anything to research about this and you want to share it, email us all and let us know. But it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to post like a form to fill out on the actual PayPal site. So I think on PayPal, it's literally only going to be where they enter their credit card information, or if they're already logged into a PayPal account, they'll just push a button or two and transfer the money, and on they go. So a lot of the websites, once we started looking into it more, and what we're probably going to have to do with ours is create a form for whoever wants to pay. They'll have to fill out that form on our website, and then they would click on a link somewhere, either on the bottom of that form or somewhere else on the page, that would send them to PayPal, and then they would pay PayPal separately. So that's where we're going to kind of have to figure out the details of how that works. I know Olive Branch, we looked at theirs, the way it's set up, because you can actually fill out a form, and then at the very bottom you click it, and then it takes it over to the returning member thing, where you only fill out like a name and a call sign, and then you click on the PayPal button, and then you go and log in your payment again on the PayPal website. But then there's others that the forms are set a little differently on the website. So that's where we're going to kind of have to do a little more research to figure out what exactly we want it to look like on our website. But we will basically have to do whatever information that we want to capture, which would be the membership application type info. That's what we're going to have to do on the website. And that may bring up questions later on, where if we want to change, we'll have to see how it captures that information, whether it sends it as an email each time, whether it sends it into a form or a database or something on the website that we have to download every now and then. That we're going to have to kind of double check when we get further along in this process. But right now we're kind of working on looking at getting the PayPal buttons embedded on the site when Mike gets a chance to do that. And then we're going to kind of figure out how to put the membership application form essentially on the website along with that. So I don't know, we're making progress. It's not as far as, we'd like, but I don't know, progress is progress. So any questions about the PayPal website status so far? Okay. Anything else for us, Mike?
No, that's all.
Okay. Joe?
Two things I sent out that we did receive the $30 check from ARRL for the 2 memberships. And then Mary Jean has sent in a renewal form, and we want to see how quick that $5 will come back to the club or to me before we give a start getting people to renew through us. I think it'll work out, but I just hope that it does it a lot quicker than the 4 weeks it took them to get the 2 new members into their system.
That's not long for an organization, Joe.
Well, it was 4 weeks before they acknowledged they got it. I thought that was a long time.
Mhm.
They said they just had gotten it in the mail, but I question that. But anyway, we'll see that's why Mary Jean sent in her renewal to do it as another test.
Yeah, because Joe, what Joe and I talked about, because it would be less bothersome to ask me, hey, can you check in and see if that check is cashed yet, versus asking a new member, somebody that hasn't been around that long, if something's gotten cashed or processed. So I'm going to keep an eye on my checking account to see when that goes through, and then also keep an eye on the ARRL account to see when that renewal processes. But like Joe said, it's going to go to his house, so that way he'll see. So I'll get to see when it actually processes for my side, and then he'll get to see when that check comes in, and we'll get a good idea, hopefully, what this turnaround time is.
But and then training, Mike, I sent you a revision or a new training classes. The general class 5-22 paragraph was revised. That's all that I had on training classes. We only have 3 signed up so far.
Thank you.
What was that, Mike?
Thank you.
Okay.
I think we need to take up a collection to get Mike like a Starlink account or something. Faster internet.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
All right, anything else, Joe?
No, that's it.
All right, well, thank you for handling that. John?
I didn't have anything else other than the hunt for to fill the vacant positions.
Okay. All right, let me check. All right. Okay. Well, Mike, I know I will not get anything to you tonight, and I'm gonna try to get you some stuff. I know I have a lot of stuff tomorrow night. And if not, everything's probably gonna come in on Friday sometime. So, because I won't be in until late Thursday. Does anybody else have anything before we go? Okay. All right. Well, if there's no objection, we're adjourned at 8:07 your time, right?
Right.
Where are you?
And Indianapolis.
They don't observe daylight savings time there.
Uh-huh. They